housing market. Get the latest insights right here.
Welcome back to Indy Housing Market. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker. And today we are so excited to have Lynn Wheeler with us, one of my favorite people in the industry. Thank you so much.
President of Berkshire Hathaway. Is it President of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Indiana, or how does?
You got it.
That's it? I nailed it?
You said the whole mouthful and you got it all out.
Do you have a nameplate with an acronym that's like the BHHS?
BHHS. Yes.
That's a lot.
Your guys' emails, they're so hard for me. Even if it autofills, I'm like, do I have it all in there? Okay. Yeah, the emails are hard.
We used to have a real statement that you had to say Berkshire Hathaway Home Services in everything, every bit of marketing, and thank God this past year they've approved. We can say BHHS pretty much for anything that we do. So
okay, so
That's
now
nice.
you're BHSS. Well, I can't even say it.
We can say that. We're good.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's cool to have you on here, mainly because there's you've just been in my atmosphere the entire time I've been in real estate, if that makes sense. And so, I've just always, obviously we've gotten to know each other over the years and all this other stuff, but I don't even know, how long you've been doing this or anything, or, what your history, your story is, so to speak.
Yeah, so tell us, actually. I would love to.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
Since dirt is what I feel like now.
That's good.
It's funny. I mean, I feel like before you know it, you become that person that you're like, oh my God, I'm the old person in the room. I'm the person that's been here forever. But I've been in this year's 23 years in the business. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So I started, I was
16.
Basically 23. So right out of college, I went in and I was a teacher and taught for just a real short.
What subject or what grade?
Art to 7th and 8th graders in Brownsburg.
Can you draw?
I can paint. I can draw.
Really?
Zach Miller, your manager,
Yeah.
There's a painting in his office that I painted.
Oh, I have to go see that after
Yeah.
this.
So
That's cool.
I don't
That's
do it a
super
lot, but I do kind of dabble in that every once in a while. But I knew right away when I went into that, I wanted to teach people, but I didn't want to be stuck in a building for 20 years doing the same thing.
Where did you teach at?
Brownsburg.
Brownsburg. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, before the middle school split. So, or went into East and West. There was one middle school. So
You would have been really, I mean, when you're growing, when you're a student, you think teachers are really old, but most teachers are just in their 20s.
Right. Yeah. It was crazy. It was nice though because I lived in Broad Ripple, so it was one of those things the students want to stalk you and come home and harass you and things like that, and they couldn't get to me because I was 30 minutes away. So, but those were a lot of my first clients were teachers.
Yeah.
That I taught with or kids' parents. And I went into real estate and produced for 10 years and then knew right away that I wanted to go into leadership from that. So 10 years in production and 16 years in leadership now, and have loved every minute of it, but it's been a long time, which is crazy.
You did real, correct?
I did.
Is that what started your thought of being in leadership? Or
it was long before that. It
Okay.
was crazy. Probably second year in the business, I went in to my manager at the time and I said, I think I want to do some form of management or leadership at some point. And I started
at 2 years.
At 2 years.
That's interesting.
And I started at the Tucker Company. And
Yeah, so which office were you at?
I was at the Keystone office, which there were 2 Keystone offices at that time. Loved it. But there was not a lot of turnover in management. So there were it was 10 years before there was a position, which was actually awesome because I had an opportunity to really
Learn the business.
I mean, I produced a lot, was a top producer, and refined my systems. And I spent my time teaching that to other people. And that's when I knew, okay, I'd rather do this and show other people how to be successful than do it just for me. Because I feel like you're going to create a lot of opportunities for other people to help their family, like you said, Kyle, and create wealth for them rather than just you. my husband was always like, why are you giving all this stuff away? Why are you teaching people this stuff? What are you doing? This
Giving
is your
away
secret
trade
sauce.
secrets. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I went to one of your events last year, and I actually thought that too. I'm like, that is so kind of you to give back like that. You started as a teacher, so that's just basically where you are. You're just still giving that, so that's inbred in you.
I think that's a major misnomer, though, because, like I mean, all of us, like we do a lot to kind of help younger agents or even experienced agents, and it's like, oh, I'm giving away like what makes me special. And honestly, I think the biggest difference of what makes me special or what you're talking about is that I do it.
Yeah.
Because I have taught tons of people what I do, and 10 of them do it. Right. And so, like, that's the weird thing. It's like, hey, you're giving away all your secrets. Like,
Yes.
the odds that this, like,
Yeah,
most people won't do it.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we have such a high failure rate. Is like we step into the uncomfortable part and we do the stuff that we don't want to do.
That's
and
so
all this
true.
other
It's
stuff.
such a hard conversation to have, though, because you try to come from a goodness of your heart of trying to teach.
Because you're trying to
them.
coach, right?
Yeah,
You're trying to teach somebody,
coaching,
yeah.
but it's a hard line. I think some agents take it very personally if you try to do it. So I mean, I do the same thing, but sometimes it's not taken very well. And I think I'm coming from a really good point of like, I really didn't say that wrong, did I? But
Like, I know what I'm doing.
I just kind of want to help, and it's hard sometimes to get people to think you're not what are you trying to teach or trying to.
Yeah, it is a hard line. I guess I don't know why people always kind of came to me, even though I was really young at the time, and that was kind of something that I guess ticked me off at that point. Is people would say to me, "You don't seem young. You seem older." And I was like, dang it, I'm 23, 24, but
Now you're like fishing for that.
I know, right? But
It's probably though because like I know like you're gonna minimize all of this, but I mean you have a warm personality, you're compassionate, you're kind. Like it's very obvious that you do have somebody else's best intentions at heart, and you have good energy, right? And so like I think all of those things is what makes somebody approachable, and that. It's not coming from a bad place, and like not everybody can teach, and like there's just certain parts of a personality that makes somebody a better teacher, whether we like it or not. It doesn't mean everybody's a great student, right? By no means, but so you went into that. Did you go straight into being a manager, or like how did that transition happen, right? Because you were a manager at the Keystone office for a while, and then you transitioned to BHHS or Berkshire. I'm just going to call it Berkshire because I'm lazy. You went to Berkshire, and then like you kind of like have escalated within there as well as
Sure.
like state stuff as well. So
yeah, and I mean, Shelly, you asked about real and sort of industry leadership. That kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, I was asked my first probably month at Tucker by an agent in our office who was in his 80s to go to a My Board meeting. And he said, "Come on, guys, we're going to lunch. Come with us. You got to learn this stuff, really important." And I was a doer. I was just one that was like, all right, let's do it. I got to learn as much as I possibly can. I came to the office my first week at 6:30 in the morning because that was my teaching schedule, and I thought that was normal, and nobody showed up till 10:30, right? So it was something that I went and I saw the value of what you could learn. I needed to understand as much as possible and be the expert. So once I went to that, people started asking, hey, do you want to do more? Do you want to help with committees? And I'm just the person that's going to roll my sleeves up and see where I can help and how I can learn more and do things. And people will take advantage of that if you raise your hand, right?
I was going to say, yeah, they just see. I mean, I'm on the north side, so I would just say that anytime we see anybody showing interest, it's like, hey, do you want to help?
Yeah,
because it's hard
please
to find.
jump in.
Yeah,
Right.
it's hard to find. But
well, it's voluntary, right? And so
Yeah.
it's
Right.
unpaid. And it does require time. I did a bunch of that stuff early, and I was like, I'm doing real estate stuff, right? Because you have so much downtime when you're new. So it's like, look, we're doing realtor things, But
Well, a lot of people criticize volunteer engagement sometimes, and I got a lot of that going up in my career, especially in leadership.
Really?
A lot of folks would say, why are you wasting your time on that? Or
Really?
we don't want you putting a lot of time into leadership. And I will say over and over again, it has proved itself for me. And the reasons it's been so valuable are, one, I know things before anyone else for myself and my business and for my agents. if I was running a company in any other industry, I would want to be the person who knew how that company was going to be affected for my clients and for my customers by anything going on in the industry. And I think that's no different here. So it was always important to me to be engaged for that reason and invest back in my business and invest in advocacy and all those things. And I didn't understand why anyone would see that differently. So my time was worth it. And I also got more than I put in. I would get referrals constantly every year from that involvement that I could track back and still do for my agents and for our people. So I have always seen it extremely valuable and teach my team now in leadership to do that and be engaged and be involved and know as much as they possibly can so that we can make our agents the first to be informed so they can inform their consumers. And it's been really helpful.
There's an unspoken benefit too that we don't. It created relationships with other agents that helps me get more deals done for my clients.
Right.
And it's just the reality.
Yeah, I do find that there's a lot of agents that do not understand that they should be more involved in the MyBOR part of it, going to meetings, learning what they're
It's
teaching.
short-sighted.
It's
for sure.
just really going to the meetings, the different division meetings and everything. I try to get a lot of people involved in that too, and they just don't see the. I think there's two groups of agents. One, the ones that are more involved with the MyBOR part of it, and the ones that are just out there selling. I think
You can be both.
you can definitely be. It doesn't take that much more time, but it is very educational to be a part of it. Because like I say, we've all been in Real, all three of us. But you also were the president of IAR, correct?
I was the president of the state in 2023,
And MyBOR.
And MyBOR in 2018, and then the past probably 5 or 6 years I've been really involved with NAR, and we'll be doing more with that in the future, which is a whole different animal. But it's really interesting, especially right now, because the industry itself is just kind of a crazy, wild rodeo. So to be involved with NAR, especially with how much it's changed over the past 2 years, with a lot of needed reform, has been really, really, really cool to be a part of that conversation.
Anything you can tell us is coming down the pike, or
I would just say exactly the opposite of kind of what you just alluded to is transparency. You're going to see a lot of it from NAR. You're going to see a lot of reporting, a lot of feedback and discussion with members, a lot more than you've seen in the past. And that's going to be really, really important. And I'd say the more that members can jump on board with that transparency for their consumers, the better it's going to be for everybody, because we've learned our lesson from that in the past. But transparency and consolidation would probably be the other key word, which some organizations or people inside the industry probably won't like that word, but it's needed. If
consolidation of what?
Consolidation of, NAR has a board that's 900 people.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's been efforts in the past couple of years to make that board the part that actually makes decisions and do things a much smaller, nimbler group of an executive committee that's about 19 people.
I couldn't imagine trying to make anybody make any decisions with
it's
that many
ridiculous.
people.
We can't
We'll
figure out
table
what
that.
to eat for dinner at my house.
I
with
know,
4 of
right?
us.
Yeah.
So all of that, if you see it on the local and state association side and the MLS side, consolidation really needs to happen. And it's kind of a taboo topic, but the nice thing with technology is we can do it in ways now where you don't have to eliminate jobs and things like that.
That's why it's taboo. People don't want to talk about it because they think something's going to be taken from them.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's lack of education, right? So it's like what you don't understand is what will be given back as far as with service or better representation or whatever it may be. I think it's really interesting to be involved in all of this stuff. And when I was new, I did a lot of it. And then COVID happened, and it all just kind of fell by the wayside for a variety of reasons. My business grew. Obviously, we couldn't meet as much, all this other stuff. And I have seen lately it pivot back to being more involvement, which makes me really happy. To your point of where people would be critical of it, I have not done anywhere near what you have done. I've had people try to push me towards it, and I'm super open to it, and I want to do it. To me, we need people who produce, and so to what Shelly was saying, there's always been this it's almost a stigma associated with it. Like you either produce or you do this, right? Like
Right.
I think that's fair. Like that, like we don't want to talk about that, but I think it's seen like that, and I think it's entirely inaccurate. And I don't understand. It's me coming from a recovery world. We are taught there's nothing more selfish I could do that's take something so freely given to me and not give it back. And the idea that this industry has not changed my life forever, that I wouldn't be involved in it and help give back to it, is mind-boggling
Yeah,
to me. I don't
that's the
understand
good
that.
part. That's a
awesome.
good
So,
way
like,
to look
but-
at it. Yeah.
And then people are like, I don't have time. Neither do I. I make time. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality. It's important to me, so I make time. You have made time. You have made time. I mean, you were a top producer in that office, and you still made time because
Yeah.
it matters. And then, who always says it? Is it Chris who always says it? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Mark who says it or if Chris
Well,
says it.
you can be a part of it and actually be a part of the decision making,
Right.
which
Correct,
is
correct.
if you're, top producer or if you're just an agent that wants to be really involved, you're seeing things and you have a voice now to come in and say, this is what I'm seeing. And I think we just need more involvement, period. And there can never be too many.
Reel is a big part of that. So you and Nancy Smith pushed me really hard to do Reel, and I was like, whatever. I mean, like, I'll do it. Whatever. I was like, it felt like student council for real estate. It just did. And then I did it, and I was like, oh shit, there's so little I actually know.
Yeah.
Like it changed everything. Being a part of Reel was just that massive. I almost wish we did it twice a year, just so more people.
Oh,
could
I would
go
love to do
through
it again.
you know?
I want an alumni class to
Oh,
go
it's
back and
awesome.
do it, but that's a good starting point. What have you learned? You kind of said something before we started. What are you seeing in the market right now? Agents, production, and what?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this kind of before we started, but it's been crazy. It's definitely the past couple of years. You see a polarization in agents. You'll start to see the longevity of agents and the producers in the market. Those are the ones that you really see the business flocking to, and you're starting to see it in the numbers in units. You're starting to see it with their production kind of going out the wazoo. They're having higher GCI numbers. They are communicating their value. People are flocking to them because they're doing the things and have done the things over years that produce that trust and value that are getting business to them. And those that are newer in the business or maybe haven't shown their value or proof in the business, they are having to work ever harder to get the business to them. So it's just that the pull's so substantial. And I would say this year, I know I've seen it with our agents more so than ever. A lot of them have already at this point hit what they hit in production at the end of last year at this point in the year. And a lot of them are those producing agents in the top of that poll. They're either there or they're, at the opposite end of the poll where they're really struggling to get going this year. So you got to hit it into high gear and up your game and do more so than you've ever done before. If you're not in that top end poll, and even the people who are, you got to do more if you want to get the business and get the value.
You don't get to like rest on your laurels.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. So you've been a manager, and I don't know with what you do now, like how in the weeds you are with agent to agent. I mean, I know who you are as a person, so I'm sure that you're super involved in like agents. But how much do you get to do coaching with individual agents and stuff like that? Because, the higher you go, sometimes the more you just have more on your plate. So it causes a disconnect just because of a bandwidth problem, right? And so, you've been at Tucker, you've been at Berkshire, and then you've moved up in Berkshire. To me, like, what is that like for you? Because the one thing that you got into this for was you wanted to teach, right? Mm-hmm. And like, ironically, because you're good at it, it's pushing you further and further away from it because you don't get as much day-to-day activity with agents. You know what I mean? So like, is that hard? And then we witness it here, so it's even harder for you because you're directly involved with it. I see agents leave brokerages, or more specifically, I see agents quit that are great agents that they quit before they become a great agent, right?
Sure.
Because they get discouraged, or like people blame a brokerage all the time when it has nothing to do with the brokerage, right? Like if you want to talk money, that is a different play. But like, as far as like when you start dealing with like the kind of the top market share, they're all pretty similar to a certain extent. It becomes
Totally.
like personality, what you want, right? And so everybody's providing similar stuff. You remember like 3 years ago, everybody's talking about AI. We have the best AI. Like everybody has AI now, so it doesn't matter, right? So so it's got to be really hard for you to like the way you invest in people to kind of lose them at times, and you're like, oh, that sucks. You were so close, and like, what was I not doing? And like, I'm sure it feels personal at times because it's like somebody breaking up with you. And so like, I just wonder what that's like. As a team lead, I have experienced it. I've had one person leave, other people I've had to let go. But I can remember the one who left. I mean, I was in tears.
Yeah.
We were both crying. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong with me? I'm supposed to be a leader. And I'm like, I'm happy for you. But you experience it on a much larger scale, and what that's like for you.
I think it's almost like being a parent. Like, you invest so much in these people when they come into the business. And I said it earlier, it's truly a matter of, I want these people to be successful on like a life-changing wavelength, right? And yes, it does completely mess with you 100%. And I am, on an empath scale, a really, really empathetic person, and it's really hard for me to lose people and always have that mentality of, oh my gosh, do people like me, and what are they thinking about me, right? Everything has an effect in that way. But I think I've learned over the years that you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. And there's a Technicolor dream crowd of brokerages and flavors out there in the real estate industry. And there's different flavors and colors for people that works better for some. And they're all wonderful in different ways. So sometimes things are going to work well for some, and sometimes they're going to have to move on. Shelly Specchio said something to me when I was president of my board, and she said, my job as a leader is to fill people's backpacks. And once they have the tools from me that they needed to be successful, they take their backpack and they move on, and they get new tools from other people. And you need to learn that as a leader, that you fill their backpack with what you're meant to fill it with, and then they need to move on. And that stuck with me probably more than anything as a leader, because I needed to hear that and know that sometimes you're going to fill a backpack and it's going to hurt when they open it up and leave. But it's okay. You've done what you need to do for them, and it's all right.
Well, it's not you, it's them. That's
It's not you, it's them. As a leader, I look at it as, what can we do as a company operationally to do the best possible job for the people that are in our family. And so I have that weird psycho mind where I constantly look at the organization and say, all right, what's wrong? How do I need to move the map around to make this better or make it the best version it can be? But to your point, Kyle, always I will 100% make it in my schedule so I can be with people and understand what they need, because I can't look at an organization and know what it needs unless I'm with people on that ground level and see what makes their business tick and see what makes them passionate on a day-to-day basis. So I still do coaching and masterminds and things like that and make it a priority, because I have to.
You have to have boots on the ground to be anywhere near able to be at your top. I mean, that's hard for you. You're way up here, and then you have to stay down here with what's going on around everything to just see. Sometimes I think that there's people in real estate, they're not producing anymore, or they're not seeing what's going on with us right now. They're just kind of in management positions, and you are just 100% hands-on.
Mm-hmm. I also never want to be that type of leader that somebody doesn't feel like they don't know me well enough that they can text me at all hours of the day or call me at any moment or come sit down with me and talk to me about anything, and they have my trust. So to me, I never want them to feel like my head is so big that they can't approach me in that way.
And for you, that transforms across the entire industry, not just Berkshire, because I know that you have that with so many people.
Oh, it bugs me so much. All the new kids in the industry, if I don't know somebody and they're doing amazing things, I feel like such a jerk. I'm like, how did I not know them? Oh my gosh, they're doing great things. They're such an awesome producer. I
Because
need
there's
to get out more.
8,900 agents out there, whatever the number is. What's the number in Marlboro right now?
It's close to 9,000. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. Are you seeing a lot of people dropping out of the industry right now? Or
Seeing a lot of retirees and folks who are saying, lots of change, lots of things going on. Good for them. They've worked their tail off and they're just tired of it, right?
Yeah.
But that's probably harder than...
And that's the dream, is to be able to retire. Because I joke, like, I'm going to die in somebody else's house.
Sure,
yeah,
right?
like that's,
yeah.
I'm like, this is,
That's harder than, I think, making it through the first year and then keeping it going and retiring. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you always get hurt, honestly. Like, I hope it always stings when something like that happens, because I think that's what makes people great. You know?
If you didn't care,
if you
then...
lose that, then you're not who you want to
problem.
be. But like, to that point, like, it's hard when you lose somebody, because like, the hardest thing in the world is to be honest with yourself, right? And so you lose people that, they probably want to blame whatever. And so, like, I'm sure there are people who are like, they want to be like, well, Berkshire did this, or Lynn did this, or whatever. And then, like, but you want to be able to leave the door open for them to come back, right? Because you're like, you're going to go find out it's better over here. But you're like, I can't say that. I can't say that. Like, I want to leave an open door. I think Tucker's really good at that. Berkshire's really good at that. It's like, hey, man, like, we love everybody, and we're always a home if you need it, because that's what you have to do. Even when you have to let people, talking about like they're your children, you have to let them go make mistakes too.
It's true.
Yeah.
The way you treat people as they're coming in your door, as they're going out your door, always. This is a small industry.
It's a small little town. Indianapolis is a teeny little town.
It's so important. So you've got to be.
I know some agents that they left a brokerage and they went to a different brokerage. I don't want to get into any of it or whatever, but like the manager was like, good riddance, and I'm like, this is wild. It just blows my mind that people do that. But it's also because they invest. Like, I can look at it as a human. It's like they invested in those people, and it hurt when they left.
Sure.
Because they did care that much, right? Like, you want to look at it as like, oh, they were mean. It's like, no, like, they cared that much that it hurt. Right. And maybe, like, who knows what's going on in their life or whatever. So speaking of that, though, like, so I think culture matters a ton, and we were talking about this, and so. Some brokerages bring on anybody. I think we all know that. And like, I know Tucker has really tried to like push towards like culture, and like, it's not just an open door for everybody. They want a certain type of like an empath, like, you know what I mean? Like somebody, like, I mean, I'm with Tucker, you're with Tucker, you used to be with Tucker, blah, blah, blah. I think Berkshire is the same way. And it's like, how do you drive a culture? It's hard for me. Like, I'm very specific with culture, and I have 5 people, including myself. And how many people do you have?
We have close to 400.
And it's, how do you drive a culture at that level? Now, you've been able to scale it, right? You went from, an office to something larger, right? So, but like, I would anticipate the way you drive culture at that level is very difficult and way more intentional. And I mean, like, years of intentionality, if that makes sense. And so, like, how do you do that? And more importantly, when you see it start to skew, how do you get it back? Because I've dealt with that.
Right.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
Because then you feel like, I went through a whole year and a half where I felt my team owned me.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because I let
Absolutely.
culture get out of it. Yeah. I feel like this is a pain point for you suddenly, but I don't know. Like, how do you deal with that?
Are you
like,
intentional on your hiring when agents come to you? Or you have a
100%.
long interview process that's kind of asking all
I feel like agents, managers, leaders, we all have a very consistent problem that we have an inability to say no. And
I have yes and maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
And you learn that as an agent at the beginning of, oh gosh, I can't turn down this business. I can't turn down this opportunity. And you learn very quickly that you need to at some occasions, because there's just some parts of business that you don't want. There are some people that are not worth your time. There's some opportunities that are not worth your time. And it's the same with agents or culture or opportunities in running companies. There are some business partners that you may partner with as vendors. There are some agents that you may partner with as broker partners that are not your people. And the moment you let that in, it really poisons your entire organization. And I've seen it happen way too many times. And what I've realized, I have had the best mentors in that. My mentor at Tucker, Ed Gallagher, who was my manager at Keystone, was so wonderful at that. And Craig West is just an absolute god at that, my business partner now. And you just have to know, this is what I'm not willing to sacrifice on as far as the type of people that I will allow into my organization. Our big thing at Berkshire is an attitude of abundance. If you don't have that, if you're not willing to share with others, if you're not willing to put yourself aside to, the greater good of everyone, you're not our person. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You're probably a great business person. But we see that attitude of abundance as something that makes us all more successful. And so it's just looking for those people that have that mindset, and it tends to create a culture of people who are not big jerks. So it works out in our advantage. Sometimes people trick you, as we were talking about. And when that happens, if it happens, you have to be willing to cut that out immediately.
Yeah.
And if you...
That's hard.
If you're not...
What does
quick,
immediately look like? Because immediately for me has historically been 6 months to a year. But I still feel that's fast.
I mean, I really look at it as like a 3-strike policy. You look at it of, okay, first time, I might have been mistaken. This may have been a fluke. Second time, all right, I'm on notice. Third time, you're this
gone.
is
Well,
is
you've
not
got 400 people, like you said. If you've got 50 of them out of line, your life is pure. You know what? So you don't. I mean, you need to just keep it under control so that you can run your life without a bunch of chaos. But you know what you need out of them because you know it works.
Absolutely.
How many branches do you guys have?
We have soon to be 15 offices.
15 offices. 2 people in one location can tank an entire location.
And we work very differently, that those are all aligned. They're not franchised.
They're not autonomous.
So we all collaborate together. We all work together. So you really feel it if somebody's not, having that attitude and out of alignment.
You probably hear from other agents, hey, this one's kind of getting in our,
all day.
Our office is becoming a little chaotic because of somebody.
And that's the great thing about culture, is if you have a standard, the team will hold everybody accountable.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it.
Yeah,
So
right. That's why, you're going to hear from them first. And
I like that you
because
call it
they like your
abundance.
culture and they don't want it to get messed up by the one bad apple.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm very similar, but mine is, I call it self-sacrifice, but I actually like abundance better because self-sacrifice sounds...
Like you're sacrificing.
Well, you are. That's what I'm asking you to do, is that, to the same point, like, hey, what it really is being selfless, right? I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to call it, but I'm like, hey, like, we're here as a team, and there's going to be times where we have to sacrifice for each other, but we will all be okay, and we will all be taken care of. That's the abundance piece of it, right? And so, like, I like how you phrased it better. It's probably, you had a whole mastermind. I want to call it a bit.
But the word sacrifice is a bad
It's a negative
word.
connotation.
Yeah,
It
but
means
if
I'm
you're
losing something, right?
Right, but if you're helping with abundance, you're not sacrificing. You're just going down a little direction over here.
You're giving, really.
To help somebody.
It comes right back to you.
You're not sacrificing because, to me, I'm not sacrificing because it also makes me feel good to do what I'm doing
To help others. Yeah.
So abundance is a really good way to put it.
All day.
That's interesting. So, when you're dealing with that, and so now that I would say the interesting part that's got to be odd is that, you're young, you're in this position, and you have people that you are now fostering to come up behind you, right? And like, you're not going anywhere anytime soon, you know what I mean? So you're going to have all these stellar people in your leadership behind you that you have built, and how do you keep them? Because how do you keep them from being the next Lynn Wheeler, if that makes sense? But you also want them to go be the next Lynn Wheeler. You know what I mean?
I want it.
I
Any
know.
opportunity I can have. And here's the thing that's interesting is it's challenging. Not a lot of people want to move into leadership in this industry, and I don't blame them. I mean, I took a 6-figure pay cut when I went into leadership, and it's a mindset of helping others rather than, putting more into your pocket and helping you. But to me, that legacy and that day-to-day work was more important to me than dealing with transactions forever. And it's looking constantly for that succession, looking constantly for that opportunity of how can I help someone see this opportunity as a leader, not just in the company, but as a team leader or as a new agent who's going to build some amazing legacy of their own. You're constantly looking for that, but there's not as many opportunities as you think. But
there isn't.
It's
like a choke point.
You just never know when it's going to come out. My big thing is always trying to, sometimes I think the other thing that we do in this industry is we're control freaks. So trying to push that aside and make sure that I'm doing the best thing that I can to delegate and lift my people up to give them as much opportunity as they can. To play in the sandbox, as I would put it. When I came to Berkshire, that was something I so appreciated, is Craig and Andrew, my other business partner, were so great of immediately giving me trust and reins to say, go play in the sandbox, do what you need. What's wrong, what's broken, fix it. And not a lot of leaders will get that trust. So I always want to be able to have that same trust for others.
What are you seeing in the industry right now, since you've been in leadership for a while, that you see the biggest disruptor or the biggest issue that we're coming across?
Oh gosh, ego is the number one disruptor right now. It's
bad.
It is so bad. It's disgusting. You just got to turn out the noise. If you don't follow Matthew Ferrara, I would tell everybody to follow him right now. He's such a beam of positivity. And last week he just said, while all this is going on and people are chanting and arguing about what data should be where and who should own what, I will be here servicing another client and having another closing. And that's truly what we need to be focused on right now. But it is really bad right now. And I think what's really going to happen from that is people are really not giving the consumer the benefit of the doubt that they know what should happen and they understand what their value should be in this whole industry. And eventually they're going to understand that they should have full transparency into everything that we do.
They should.
And so I think it'll come back to bite everybody in the long run. So however the landscape unfolds over the next 6 months, year, what have you, I think that's going to be the big thing to watch for, is the consumer is going to be the one that wins.
Which they should, because that's what I do, because that's my entire job, is to be a fiduciary.
Right.
That's it. I don't know. It's all like fascinating to me, like that stuff, the complaints that we hear about that stuff. It reminds me of when we switched our systems here, and Shelly was getting, not you, Shelly, but she's getting death threats, and people just are afraid of change. And here we are, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine,
But I get back to, that's why I say if everybody was more involved in MyBor and they knew the people at MyBor, then they wouldn't be saying negative things, because you've got a real human being in front of you. And these people at MyBor care so much. They're there. They're doing the same thing. They're giving back. They're doing everything they can to make this industry better. And to have people that are not involved in this in any way, not going to the events of anything that's happening or any of the meetings, and then complain because they don't even know. They're complaining without knowledge, and that is a frustrating thing. It has got to be very frustrating for people like yourself, anybody above, when you just hear the complaints and they really don't know
to take
what
a pay
they're
cut
talking
to get
about.
yelled at by people who don't know.
Yeah,
it's
that
frustrating,
would be
but sometimes it's fun.
And it's also what makes you. That's what you sign up to do.
Right.
Like it's a thankless job.
Sometimes,
you get your thanks different
it's
ways.
good to know the process, and you are thankful to be a part of that conversation and understand what went into it. And exactly what you said, Shelly.
Right.
All of the decision making, all of the time and energy to try to get as many opinions as possible to make sure it was the right choice for whatever the decision is.
And none of them are perfect. You just do the best you can.
They're not. And you're going to make half the people mad no matter what, because it's change, right? But you just go with it. You have to, because if we're not changing, it's going to change for us whether we want to or
and
not.
I think we're probably seeing a lot more change coming that we don't even know about, and I'm sure you've heard some more grumblings that you can't talk about, but it's just never going to stay the same long enough for it not to change.
It's very true.
That's just what everybody says. But I I just think that everybody above us, you and other people, they are really giving back. Like you said, you're taking a pay cut. You're doing a lot more with just, you care. And you care about the people around you and under you and are giving back. And like I said, I've come to some of your classes and think they're fabulous. And you can tell it just comes from your heart.
Thank you.
So thank you for being a part of our industry in the Indianapolis market.
Yeah. It's people like you guys that got me involved in it. So I'm super appreciative.
This is the fun part, is when you're involved, you get to know people at different companies and different locations and different geographies, and you learn outside your box that you're in every day, and you realize how many awesome people are in this industry.
Oh, there's so
so
many
lucky.
people out there. Like, I wish we could create our own brokerage. But it just wouldn't work the same. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Too many egos.
It's like it'd be like All-Star Weekend. It only works for 1 week out of the year type stuff. We could have you on forever. I would love to have you back on. We'll go over the stats real quick because we have a hard stop here today. But it's interesting. The stats are skewed. First of all, we didn't do it last week, right? And then
but this was a holiday weekend.
Right, it's Christmas in Indy, right? And so you've got 500, which was a weekend. It felt like a weekend early, right? Or it was just the way it fell in May. But and then some schools got, like, my kids get out
Schools
Thursday.
got out, yeah.
Oh yeah, like Fisher's and HSE got out Friday.
And it was the parade on Saturday, and everybody's having their cookouts or going to the lake. It was a weekend that I decided not to put a listing up because of it. But it was interesting to see. Obviously, not everybody thought that, and actually the world just kept revolving, even though it was May in Indianapolis and the race weekend.
It was. I mean, for me, inventory has just kind of been staying the same. In Fisher's, I have 182 on the market, 23 went on the market, 16 are still active, 7 pinned that within a 7-day period, but I had 24 actually pinned, so I lost 1 in inventory. Average days on market in Fisher's is 23, the median is 12, right? And even when I was looking at, actually it may have been Noblesville. I had one in Noblesville. I was looking at the dates, and I was like, oh, this was in the past 7 days. I was like, it was actually 353 days. It was like May of last year that it went on the market. So that's going to skew the numbers for Noblesville. In Noblesville, I have 175 on the market. 27 went active last week. 9 of them sold within 7 days, so 18 are still active, but 31 pinned. So I lost inventory again in Noblesville. Average days on market is 34 with a median of 17. So for what I would anticipate would be a slow week, there was so much sold we lost inventory, actually.
Yeah, well, because nobody listed, but everybody kept buying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was same thing here. So Carmel, 25 hit the market, but a total of 27 pinned, so we lost inventory there. Only 17 of those 25 pinned, but that only left 8. So that was a good week for last week for the weekend of the Indianapolis 500. I just thought that was interesting to see how much business was going on. And I've been here for 18 years in the May, but May is usually a very slow time.
It is, yeah.
Very slow time.
Last year, May is when the market died.
Right. Well, anyway.
Just me saying it don't mean it's going to...
Karma. Watch it.
When I won the Powerball, if you're listening, Karma.
So anyway, total of 174 have sold in the past 30 days, and that was the highest this year, 174 sales in 30 days.
That's a lot.
So Carmel's busy. Average days on market for the past 7 days was 12, and the median was 6. So 12 is average for Carmel. And then in Westfield, 16 hit the market, a total of 24 sold. 9 of those 16 did sell in the first 7 days. Average days on market is 30, and median is 9. 142 sold in the past 30 days. That's the same for Westfield. And the total average was 38, median is 7. There's 224 houses on the market in Westfield, 71 average days on market, and 39 median. So that's coming down on the sitting inventory. 107 of those are new builds. In Zionsville, 10 of them hit the market, and a total of 8 pinned in that past 7 days. And 11 is the average, and 4 is the median. Again, we say that means they sold immediately. And 53 sold total in the past 30 days, with an average days of 30 and a median of 5. So that slowed or sped way up from the past 30 days, now down to an average of 11. So the market is busy and fast right now.
Yeah, it's, but some houses are still sitting. It'll be interesting to see if the next week or two is a little slow because of vacations. But I don't know with, when we look at our stats, there's just so much that goes into it. And, historically, I would say these are slower weeks because people are on vacation. But I'd be willing to bet with gas prices where they are, less people travel and do more staycations, ironically. So, you know what I mean? I'm curious. I don't have an answer here. I'm just,
Right.
There's some dynamics involved this year that aren't always involved. So I wonder if I'm just curious to see how that will play out, if it impacts things or not.
Quickly, Lynn, what have you seen this first 6 months of the year, where the market is?
You can definitely see it starting to pivot back to a seller market from where we were at the beginning of the year. List to sales price ratio has ticked up, and days on market has ticked down. So you're starting to see that. Seasonality is just back, right? Mm-hmm. So that's my biggest thing, is just preaching to all of our buyers and sellers, preaching to our agent consumers. Remember, when you're hearing these stats, that it's going to tick back down come August and September. And that's the biggest change and things we just have to get used to again. And to Kyle's point, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens a little sooner than normal this year, just as prices stay up as they are now, and the economy doesn't necessarily change. People are waiting and waiting and waiting. It's not necessarily going to change.
And if it changes, most likely it gets better, not worse, which means it's going to be worse for the housing market.
It will be very much worse.
I mean, it's great if you're a seller, but it's going to suck to be a buyer.
I mean, you heard those stats. It's already tough.
I know.
So it's
Well, the multiple offers are back with a vengeance. And,
absolutely.
At least it's not egregious over ask anymore, but it's still a thing.
But they're out there. And the thing about it is, agents need to understand, as to get a call from somebody who wants to see a house, I remember this was always the weirdest thing when I would see a request for a appointment to see the house on Saturday, and it was like Tuesday, and I'm like, but I'll probably be sold by then. Like, I just,
I've dealt with that, yeah.
I see those kind of forward, 5 days down the road.
That's the challenge that we have. Is in the past we had this multiple offer scenario, but we had such a cash presence, and with the prices up where they are for everything, we're not seeing as much of a cash flow. So you're seeing more contingencies. You're seeing more people just not in that cash position to put, huge appraisal gaps and things like that down. And so people are just not as in good of a position as they used to be.
I had my team meeting before this, and I'm getting ready to leave for vacation, and so I was just prepping them for listings that I have going live this week and everything. And this is like a tangent, but for some reason something you said made me think of it. You were talking about scheduling. You ever have the seller who, they get a showing request and they're like, it's for 3:45, and they're like, we can't do that. Can you have them push it back till 5? And I was telling somebody
Make
at a
it
listing,
work.
I'm like, yeah, as an agent, I can tell you right now, I'm going to tell you I'll reschedule, and we won't, because we've already scheduled out an entire day.
Right.
They don't think
There's
that
no
we
way to
do
fill it back
anything
in.
when we show houses. The scheduling part of it is
It's the
worst.
worst.
And they will fall in love with it. Unless you're that one house, they will fall in love with a different
Make it
house.
work.
Yeah, make it freaking. I want to make I'm
have
not the only
enough-
person who's like,
Make it work.
Yeah. No, it's just, and then, next week they'll be calling, why don't we have any showings? Well, we had 3 that you said no to.
yeah.
It's just hard, but
It
that
sets a bad
schedule-
tone, and it goes back. Maybe your karma shit's real. I don't know.
It is. I guarantee you. Have you never heard of it?
Karma, I'd be so good if I won Powerball. I'd help so many people.
That's the truth. If I won $1 billion, you'd all get money. Everybody would get money.
Hey, Karma, I hope Shelly wins Powerball. I always tell people, when we're selling houses, I'm always like, hey, I'm not superstitious, but I'm also not the guy who's willing to find out if I should have been.
That's exactly true. You don't
Yeah.
want to find out.
Yeah.
You
So
absolutely
I'll
don't
be
wanna find out.
superstitious just in case I needed to be superstitious.
Well, there's no
Yeah.
reason to just. I don't ever want to just, force karma to show its head.
Yeah,
Just be
I've
good.
lived that life. It's not fun.
No, the thing is, I'm going to say real quick about the lottery. When somebody wins, when there's 10 million, can we not have 10 winners of $1 million? I want to run the lottery business because
Spread the love.
Yeah, nobody needs 10 million.
Except for me.
Kyle would do
Yeah,
very well
I'll
with
do
it.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, because I'd have to give away 9 of it, If I got $1 million,
Well,
I'd
the
end up with
government takes half right
10,000.
off the bat. So anyway,
Okay, so if anybody wants to get a hold of you for a variety of reasons, obviously, like you do sell real estate, but at the same time, like I think you're a very big resource. If anybody wants to get more involved in leadership or in the business or anything like that, I think you're a great resource. So if you want to give your information out so people can get a hold of you.
Sure. Yeah, always reach out. I'm happy to chat to anyone. My cell phone number is 317-201-5066, or you can email me, lwheeler@bhhsin.com.
2 H's in there. 2 H's.
Right.
And an IN, and
Yeah.
it's not a 1, and no.
There you go.
You need to be in charge of evidently email before you're in charge of
It's
lottery.
just always been one of those emails. I'm like always looking like, did I get all the H's and the S's and the INs? I mean, like, yeah.
I bet yours is something stupid like Shelly@ShellyWalters.com.
Yeah, mine's easy.
Easy.
You know how hard that is to give people my email and I say it and they can't figure out what I'm saying? Like, it's very difficult to
With
give that
my
email
Tucker
out.
one, the thing that I never anticipated as a problem, and you guys could probably both speak to this. I'll be like at Talk to Tucker, and they'll be like, "Is that the number 2?" And I was like, I never even thought somebody
Yes.
would think
Yes.
that, you know. Like, because it's just in my head. So, anyways, I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker. If you want to get a hold of me, my number is 317-649-5122.
And I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker. My phone number is 317-201-2601.